All right, traders, the longest green streak that I've had in history as a trader is still continuing. My portfolio is up nearly 5% on the day. I ended up having 4 trades. 3 of them were nice wins. 1 was a small loss. I'm going to be breaking down the trade recap. I'm also going to be explaining to you my upcoming trading plans, stocks that are on my radar, and for the watch list, I'm going to be sharing with you my trading plans and my updated price action analysis for the SPY. This is going to be a phenomenal lesson loaded with education, so make sure you stay till the end of this video and smash that like button. Let's get right into it. So first things first, guys. What a day. For those of you who watched my video, my previous video, there were so many trading plans within that video, and we had discussed, as we did in the morning live stream today and on the watch list, some of the key plays we were looking at, if you went back and watched the video, was MDB. If MDB, if this 316.60 level can react as a resistance, I'll be looking to buy in the money put options for a drop to 300. This was the watch list that was sent out at 9:01 a.m. You could see right here, Tesla key support at 782. Once it cracks and reacts as a resistance, expect a nice pullback to 770. That got absolutely crushed once it cracked this key level. And then CLOV, these puts printed too. We were all put focused this morning. You can see right here, once $3 can react as a resistance, I'll be interested in buying put options for a midterm swing trade to $2.40. Last time I checked, I think it was trading in the 260s. There was phenomenal plays from this watch list. We had Bumble once again, still a great opportunity to consider buying put options if we can get a pop to $21.64 to $22, which we did. Then it dropped back to 2070s. And we had members do fairly well within the program. Riser, he played back-to-back Bumble put options. I remember he made like nearly 3% on his account on Friday, doing well with Bumble. Rinse and repeat, made another 3% return. That's absolutely phenomenal. SM ended up making 3,200. GGGG ended up making over $2,000 on the day. 40% return on PARA. This is going to be a new top play we're talking about for a swing trade. I think that stock's going to get crushed. I ended up making 40% on 1/3 of my position, still holding 67% of that. So we're going to be going over this stuff. Bobby made a 37% return on PARA puts. My guy back at it again with a nice quick $500 profit scalping in and out. Tyler D absolutely crushing it. He said, great day trading SPY, gap, close reversals, great insight from Will. Ended up making 6.5K on the SPY, 289 on the para puts. Ended up playing puts once again. Nice quick $600 profit. So you guys are absolutely crushing it. Got to give a big shout out to my guy here. He's absolutely killing it. So consistent. And yeah, congratulations to those of you, who've been absolutely killing it within this market, guys. There's been so much opportunity being put focused, riding the put options. We're going to be recapping the trades. I crushed it on Coca-Cola, made a nice 10%. The trade of the day was para puts. Ended up making 40% on 1/3, still holding 66%, planning to add more to that. And then we had some great callouts within the watch list. I clearly stated at 10:14 a.m. it's a great time to consider Bumble puts to be adding to those as well. Even CEI had a gap close reversal at 78 cents. Even SPY gap to fill at 420.07. If it reacts as a resistance level, expect the gap from 416 to fill, which it did. And then I said that's where I'm interested in buying SPY at 416, which was the low of day. So the watch list was phenomenal. Everything was on point. I'm going to be recapping MULN as well. So it's going to be great education, guys. Make sure you stay to the end of this lesson. So first things first, let's break down the SPY in terms of where we're at on the daily chart, right? So in terms of SPY, I was looking at the gaps that were waiting to fill below on the SPY. And you could see once we filled this gap at $420.07, it had a very negative reaction. It cracked right through, and then it turns it into resistance right around here. Once it turns it into resistance, it came back down to the lower end of the channel right here. Here's your support, and here's your gap to fill at 416.25, which is where I told you guys for a nice scalping opportunity, that's the price where I'm interested in buying calls. Meaning I'm not interested in buying calls at 426. I'm not interested in buying calls at 420. I'm interested in getting in at the best price, which was 416.25, where this gap has filled. As you could see, as soon as SPY filled that gap, it ripped. It barely cracked, and it ripped all the way to $418.20. If you were to go with the contracts that expired today on SPY, could have made a nice lucrative return. I played it safe. I bought some calls. I rinsed and repeat them. I flipped them a couple times in between this dip here. It wasn't easy, but I was flipping those for a quick 2 to 3% win with some size. And then in terms of, the update on SPY, It needs to stay above 416. That's the key level. The key level we're going to say is this 416.25. If 416.25 cracks and reacts as a resistance level, you're looking at a nice pullback on the SPY in terms of, how low is that pullback going to be? You're looking at a pullback to about $411. That's what you're looking at. If 416 cracks and that reacts as a resistance level, it'll be on track to go back to the next support level, which is going to be at $411. If 411 cracks, there's a gap that is still waiting to fill below on the SPY. You can visually see right here. Let's just double check this real quick. 405.41 cents. Let's see what the low of day is here. 405.33 cents. Okay, so that gap is already filled. So the next gap on SPY would be right here at $400.61. That would be the next key level, the next key gap level. So in terms of the daily chart, what are we looking at in terms of these candlesticks right now? So looking at the SPY, it's forming lower highs. See how it popped back up, turned previous support at 427 into resistance ever since it's been breaking down towards the lower of the channel. So this is just bound to crack at some point. The daily chart is fairly bearish. It could see some short-term bounces, before crashing this. It's definitely possible. But once 416 cracks, it's going to start to fall off the cliff. You just have to keep in mind it could rip back up for the short term. There is some gaps to fill above. But overall, on this daily chart, this is fairly bearish. So we're just going to have to see how this responds and how this reacts to this 416.25 level. Another key level of interest is going to be 417.06, the previous closing price. So we'll see how SPY reacts tomorrow when it tests this 417.06 and this 416 level. Those are my two key levels of interest. If it continues to hold up, it's going to be on track to spike back to the 420s. If it cracks, it's going to be on track to fall to 411. Daily chart is looking fairly bearish right now. So we'll see how things pan out in the pre-market for a potential trade. As of now, I haven't been trading SPY as frequently as I do. I've been seeing many good lucrative opportunities with stocks such as like Bumble and then this new stock I'm going to be talking about. So I haven't been trading the SPY as much lately. I haven't been liking the way it's been moving as well. But that's the thoughts. That's the current price action analysis on SPY. Now, this is going to be the new #1 setup that I am currently in on. I am planning to add to this tomorrow. So the ticker symbol is going to be PARA. I alerted puts, as you can see right here, and these absolutely printed at 12:18 p.m. I got in at $1.06. The strike was $35, which was like $1 out of the money at the time. Those became deep in the money at one point, as I think it went to like 34.50s fairly quickly after this. And then I explained it, I'm planning to add with heavier size. And then on the dip, I locked in profits. As you can see right here, I sold 1/3 for a 40% win, still holding 66%. So in terms of PARA, I decided to take a nice starter position right here as I alerted at 12:18 p.m. So 12:18 p.m., that was right here, right before it had that massive crash, nearly towards the high of days. That was when the stock was trading slightly above $36. I alerted those puts. And then just 30 minutes later, they printed. It went all the way down to 34.80. I wasn't expecting it to fall that quickly, which is why I took a starting position. And as you can see, it ripped right back up to nearly my initial entry. The contracts are currently worth 120. It's going to be, I decided to play it safe. If you were to go with the March 18s on that trade, you would have made double. Instead of being up like 40%, you would have been up like 80%. I'm playing it safe on this, and I did want to swing trade the rest. So I went with the $35 strike, which is $1 out of the money. My current average on these, I did add my current average, I think is 110 on these. So right now the bid is 110, ask is 125. Already locked in some nice profits. But the whole theory with this one is it could spike tomorrow and it could have a green day tomorrow, which I'm not going to be too worried or concerned about. I think this is going to be one of those ones that could just take some time to play out. I'm thinking by next Monday, this crashes to $33. So I would say by next Monday, we're crashing to $33. Got to take it one day at a time, though. That can change. The chart can alter the price targets. It can alter, the plan, right? Got to see how it reacts. But the March 25th, $35 strike, these should do fairly well. So what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at a gap close reversal to fill the gap below. So with that being said, there's a gap to fill on PARA at $35.99. You can visually see there's a lot of resistance at this level, and when it hits this $36 level, it likes to quickly sell off. I'll give you some examples. Right here, it hits $36.68. The next day, it sells off all the way to $34.48, and then you can see it likes to rip back up a little bit too before going lower. So it rips back up to $37.40. Just a couple days later, it crashes all the way to $29.83. And then you can see right here, it rips back up towards this $36.69, just kind of sits here, very similar move to a Bumble. And then a couple days later, it just gets crushed. And you can see right here, it hits $35.74, almost filling this gap, forming the same candlestick that it did today. And then you can see the next day, it had a small little green day. It looks like it had a little morning panic and ripped back up, closed strong. But it did not break above the highs. And then the day after that, the puts really printed, and the day after that was the icing on the cake. And then it spikes back, then it goes lower. So with this one, it likes to spike back a little bit before dropping lower. So like I said, in terms of where I think we can be at on this whole situation, we're either like right here, where this has like a morning panic tomorrow, and then it rips back up, closes green, and then it just starts to sell off 2 days after that. Or we're right here where this is just done, and tomorrow's a red day, and it could pop back another day, but then it's just kind of done. So in terms of my overall price targets, I would say $33 by next Monday. I went with March 18th. I'm playing it safe. I do believe this could spike to $36.50, maybe even $37. It's definitely possible before crashing. It is definitely possible. Or maybe it has a morning panic, then it rips back up. It's definitely possible. But within some time, I'm thinking $33. So I'm looking to add on rips and then lock in key profits on specific dip levels that have big upside potential, and then just look to hold the rest, kind of like what I'm doing with Bumble, rinse and repeating. So in terms of key levels to lock in profits, 34.50, 34.70 is going to be a key level. For the bears to show true strength and to take control, we need to see 34.70 crack and turn into resistance. Once that can occur, it's going to fall off a cliff. The puts are going to print, and it's going to start to fill that gap at 32.62. So overall, I could see this dropping to 33 to nearly fill that gap by next Monday. That's what I'm thinking on this one. It's just going to take some time. But yeah, we'll see. I'm very excited for tomorrow. I'm very confident in the setup. Very interested in seeing how this can react tomorrow, because we did fill the gap. It is showing signs of a reversal. It already had a nice pullback from that level, and there's a gap to fill below. So it's a gap close reversal to fill the gap below. And as you can see, it's also at a key major resistance level, and the stock is pushing for new all-time lows. So this is the confirmations I like to be trading at. These are the puts that I like to be playing, the ones that are at key resistance, that have huge downside potential, the ones that are overbought, the ones that are filling their highest gaps to fill above, the ones that have big downside potential in a short period of time, the ones that like to fill their gaps below, gaps fill below right here, gap to fill below right here. It nearly filled this gap right here from this downtrend. So this stock has some very nice downside potential, and the put options can definitely print. I mean, if you look at this, we're talking about paying $1 for the contract, and the delta is going to be above 50 cents on these puts, meaning every time it drops $1, you'll be up 50% on that. So that's the game plan for PARA. And I think March 25th would be the perfect expiration. If you're just trying to get in, get out, then you can consider for a day trade March 18th puts on a rip. That's something I'm going to be looking into as well. As you can see, the volume is very, very heavy on the put options, especially the 35 put strike right here. All the volume is on the puts. That's where the big volume is. So a lot of people are interested in puts as well. But yeah, big shout out to one of the members in Trader Society who alerted this stock. This is why we have a team. We're not going to be able to catch them all with just one set of eyes. But if we have a team, they can help point us in the right direction as long as we're all on the same level of education, which we are, because I provide the video lesson library within Trader Society where members get to learn everything it is that I, know about the market, so they can see it how I see it, so they get that third eye. But yeah, one of the members alerted this within Trader Society, and as soon as he sent the alert, I pulled up the daily chart. I told him I love it. Let's wait for some bearish reactions at this gap fill at 36. We see signs of a reversal. It's going to start to get crushed. It's going to start to fill gap below. Next thing you know, when we got in, those puts absolutely printed. It's crazy. Like if you were to do a March, let's say you did a March 18th $35 strike, these would have made at least 80%. So the ones that I chose were the safer ones. I was looking to swing. Those made a nice 50, 60% at the peak. But you can see right here, when I alerted this at 12, it was at 12:18 p.m. right here, literally towards the low on these contracts, 12:18 p.m. If you were to go with these ones went from 68 cents to $1.30. So, basically 100% on those. The other ones hit like 50 to 60%. But yeah, if you look at the daily chart, we got some big upside potential coming on these puts. I'll show you an example right here on this PARA. I'm talking about this one because this is the number one setup I'm seeing right now. It's going to be my top focus. So the $35 strike, it's going to be right here. And as you can see, if we pull up the contracts, these have huge upside potential. So today the high of day was 167. We were buying these at $1. There's a gap to fill at 287. So if it were to quickly go back to like 32.60, these would be worth like $2.50 plus. I'm not expecting that though. I am looking for a pullback to 33 by Monday, and I'm going to keep you guys updated with InTrader Society day by day on that swing trade that I'm currently in. So in terms of our next upcoming stocks, Bumble, the plan here is to keep buying puts, continue to buy puts on Bumble when it rips, in terms of like, how high of a rip do you want it to go to? I would say the new level on Bumble would be like $22. Let's see what the high of day was. High of day was $22.37. So levels of interest are going to be $22 and $21.70. That's going to be the new zone to buy Bumble puts and to add and to rinse and repeat. This is something you can continue to rinse and repeat on. Go with the April contracts, play it safe with the swing trades. In terms of Bumble, this is in terms of where we could be at. We could be in a situation where we're like right here, and we got a lot of red coming. So there's a gap to fill below at 1666. I still stand by. This is going to get absolutely crushed. In terms of my puts, they're up another, the April 14th. Like I told you guys, I'm riding the rest out. 22.5 strike. They're up 11% on the day. At the peak, they were up like 25%. I do believe this is going to continue to drop. So I'm going to be looking to add into pops. I think this week we'll be able to get to under $20. I don't think under $20 is going to be an issue for this week. We got plenty of time left. The chart is looking very bearish. It's consistently turning that previous closing price into a resistance level, closing weak at the lows. We're getting all the bearish confirmations we need. I mean, just look at the chart. It's consistently turning that previous closing price into resistance, previous closing price into resistance. So it's just a great opportunity to really, if you see that morning rip, to buy puts at resistance, and the resistance levels would be $21.70 to $22 in between that zone. Overall, this should continue to drop lower within some time. It's just going to take some time, because the volume is starting to go down. So when the volume fades, the stock price is going to fade with it. It just might not drop as big and as quickly as expected because the volume's fading. So it could take some time. But this is what you want. You want that volume to start to fade. You want it to be sitting on thin air, cracking, turning previous support into new lower highs. Bumble's very, very bearish. I don't think the puts are going to have a problem making 100% plus by next week. So those should do fairly well. I'm sized in very nicely on Bumble. My next big win is expected to be PARA. Very confident in this setup, but we'll see tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the moment of truth for this one. Right now on PARA, I have, it's not like a super big size. It's not like a decent size. It's like not a small size. I would say it's more of the medium size. So we'll see, because I do, if we can get some bearish confirmations on this tomorrow, I will be looking to add some size into this because I'm starting to like this setup. I just need some bearish confirmations. Coca-Cola was a nice quick hitter. Could have made 50% on these. So at 12:39 p.m., I alerted Coca-Cola puts. I sold for a 10% win. After I sold, they went back above my initial entry, and then it dropped again and it went even lower. The puts could have made 50% at the peak. I made a nice 10% plus on this one. But yeah, the puts were alerted at 12:39 p.m. on Coke. So why did I decide to buy Coca-Cola put options? You remember, it wasn't that long ago that I was buying Coca-Cola call options when it filled this gap. You guys remember the video of that strategy, how to get rich, using gap close reversals, using the gap trade strategies. Remember how Coca-Cola was at key support. It filled the gap. It had a nice reversal. Within this expand reversal, if you were to get some slightly out of the money puts, you could have made a quick 50% plus on that. And we had the same situation today. So, Coca-Cola has strong support here, has strong support here. It cracked. It went all the way to 57.5. There's a gap to fill below at 56 on the daily. And you could see on Friday, it formed a lot of resistance at a 58.83. So it partially filled this gap. There was a gap to fill above right here at 58.96. It partially filled it, and it went all the way down to $58. That 80-cent pullback, you can easily make a 50% on puts. They'll definitely print. So today, it ended up filling the gap. It filled the gap at 58.96. And once we identified that, it was clear resistance, it was failing to break out, it was having a reversal, it was breaking down, it was forming new lower highs, we decided to buy the puts. I got in and things started to turn bullish. So I locked in my profits for 10%. It went back above my initial entry and then it sold off more. And on this move here, you could have made a 50% on those puts. So that was a nice trade as well. And then so we went over pair, we went over the SPY, gap close reversal calls. That was a small little win. And then the last one was MULN. So this is going to be important moving forward. This was my smallest position size of the day as well, this MULN. This was the L for the day. The stock went in the direction I wanted it to go into, but the reason why I didn't make money, there's a lot of different reasons. So it's very hard to make money day trading small cap options. If you're going to trade options on a small cap stock, the reality is the contracts have to be liquid, so you need a thin spread with a lot of volume. So the volume, it's not just about having a lot of volume. It needs to have a thin spread. So number one, it's got to have a thin spread. Number two, if you're going out of the money, it's got to become in the money. They're not going to be printing if they don't become in the money. So this is just speaking for small caps only. It needs a big one-sided move in your favor, and it needs to quickly happen. So you have to time it perfectly. You have to get the perfect entry. You have to have a thin spread. You have to have the liquidity, and your strike nearly has to become in the money. So the biggest issue with this one was, I don't like going far out of the money. So in terms of like my entry, the entry was on point. I alerted this at 10:03 a.m. So at 10:03 a.m., the price was at 185. The price was at 185 when I alerted this. The high of day was at 209. So that was a great entry for shorting because this did go all the way to 155. It's just the issue is we didn't get big enough pullback. I was playing for the gap to fill below at 135. If 135 cracks, then it's going to go to 110. But that's what I was trying to do. It's just the issue is, and like I said, I explained this all in the webinar, it's just a fairly light size. And the fills were just not good on this. I was getting some fills at 7 cents and then I was getting some at 10 cents. The fills made no sense. So guys, moving forward, if we're going to trade a small cap and we're going to do options on a small cap, the strike has to be in a situation where it's like, slightly out of the money or like at the money or in the money. Like 2.5 strike, that's too deep in the money. It's not going to make me any returns. I looked at those contracts. Like that's why I didn't play those. It's just not going to do well with this situation. Now, if we had like a 1.5 strike, that could have done well. It's just the $1 strike, that was just not realistic. If it did go to 135, they might have made a little bit. It's just the issue was the spread. That was the biggest issue, seeing a wide spread. So don't trade wide spreads and stay closer to, like I say all the time, like stay in the money. Stay in the money, stay at the money. If you're going to go out of the money, don't go out of the money a lot. The only reason why I did go this far out of the money is because it was my only fucking option. That's the only reason why. Like this 2.5 was not an option. None of these were good options. The $1 strike was basically the only option. So yeah, that was an extremely tough one to hit. But moving forward, I will say with the small caps, my main focus is going to be shorting them with shares, not trading the options. It's very hard to trade options on them. You need a big one-sided move in your favor, and the option chain has to be perfect. It's got to have the right strikes. These small caps, like if it's under like $2, $3, $4, it's just not going to be a play. But if we can get like a massive gap up on something like BBBY, like CEI, that's a little different. But in this situation, it was just too far out of the money. That was the issue. So it's going to be very rare moving forward. I play options on a small cap. It's got to have like the perfect option chain, the perfect situation. The implied volatility is fucking insane too, but it's got to be perfect. My main focus with these though, I am interested in trading them. It's going to be short selling them. That's how I started off trading. You can short these stocks. You can use a broker to borrow the shares to short on a hard to borrow stock, and you could short them. And I'm telling you, with my strategy, that's another phenomenal route to go, is to short sell these small cap stocks, these hard to borrow stocks. You can do very well doing that. It's just the disadvantage is to do well, you got to put in some money, and you can get squeezed very, very quickly. That's one disadvantage with trading shares in general. You got to put in money to make money. That's just the reality of the situation. With options, you don't have to put in money to make money, because with an option contract, you can flip a 50%, 100% return within 30 minutes. You don't need to put in a lot of money to make a very lucrative percentage return on your portfolio. It's just with shares, it really doesn't work that way. It just doesn't, unless you're playing for the long side and you hit a big one. But it really doesn't work that way with shares. With shares, you got to put in money to really make money. With options, it's the complete opposite. That's why I love it, because I've situated in a way where I'm not risking a lot to make a couple percent of my portfolio consistently compounded. It's crazy. Like my goal was 1%. My goal is like 1% per day compounded. Like today I got 5%. I already exceeded my weekly goal. Like it's crazy. So for me to take a bigger size into this week, I'm gonna have to see like some killer setup. So we'll see how pair looks tomorrow. But yeah, shorting these is one thing you can do. I used to do it a lot. It's just there's limits to it, and you also have to pay hard to borrow fees, which can take away 10 to 20% of your profits. So that's expensive too. I mean, option contract fees are expensive as well. If you're paying, option contract fees, that typically takes away like 1 to 2% of what you're putting in automatically just to get in on the trade in and out. That's why I like using Webull, because the commissions are free with Webull. But it gets to a certain point where even then you kind of want to scale out to like the best broker possible. But I haven't had any problems really with them. So another stock that I'm looking at is going to be EBIX. EBIX is getting very, very interesting here. So EBIX has a gap to fill at 31.89. Once this gap fills, I'll be waiting for a key breakdown. If it cracks this 31.89, it's going to have a nice rug pull. It's going to get crushed. And then there's a gap to fill below right here at 25.30. It looks like 25.40, something like that. So if it fills that gap below and reacts to support, that's where I'm going to be interested in buying. As of now, I'm looking for a key breakdown opportunity. We had a member within Trader Society when we were doing the live stream today. He alerted that he was short, and this was a great play. You can see right here, key resistance, gap to fill above. Right here, there was a gap to fill above at 38.50. So once this stock goes below this red line and reacts as a resistance, it's going to have a hard sell-off to then fill the gap that was waiting to fill below. See how these overreactions correct themselves? It has the massive move up, then it has the massive crash as soon as it fills the gap and has a reversal. And then once it turns that into resistance, it comes back down to earth to fill the gap below. So right now we're in the middle. We're in the middle of the channel. And this did just go from 44 to 32. So I don't think the crash is going to be as big and as easy moving forward. We could see something like this where it just kind of holds and pops at this key level like that, and then it sells off. That's what we could see. Or just go straight through and then it pops back. Regardless, I'm waiting for the key breakdown. It could take up to 2 days. Once we can see 31.89 react as a resistance level, I want to short. I want to play the puts on this one. That should be good for a nice gap fill play to 26. That's going to be a top watch for the key breakdown using the gap close strategy. So I want to see how that reacts. If we can react as a nice key breakdown, I'm interested in puts. Like I said, I'm put focused, man. People who are doing very well on this market are the ones who've really been focusing on the market sentiment, which is puts. I'm telling you, these investors, they're all getting crushed. We're sitting here making 1%, 2%, 3% daily compounded, just consistently using these strategies and consistently buying put options with these gap close reversal strategies, gap fill strategies. I mean, just look at all of the opportunity. MDB, remember this one from the video and within the watch list? Clearly stated, there's so much opportunities within these watch lists that we send out when we see those opportunities to prepare people to trade the best setups at the prices. They set the price alerts and you can make these trades. If 316.60 can react as a resistance, I'll be looking to buy the puts for a drop to 300. This one, the contracts went crazy on these. Look at how much the contracts are up today. They're up 400% to 200%. This was definitely one of the plays of the day. So you could see in the morning, it initially reacted as a support level. It went above, had a small pullback, form higher support, then it ripped back up. So if you see that happen, you just wait for it to react as a resistance level. And then right around here, it started reacting as a resistance, had a little pop back up, reacted as a resistance, lower highs, and then it just finally sold off once the SPY was selling off as well. It went all the way from 316.50 to 283. That exceeded my expectations. I was in so many trades and I wasn't watching at the time. I was in like 3 trades at the time. They were all printing. I kind of missed out on this one, and that's gonna happen. I'm gonna create these watch lists. I'm gonna provide to you what I feel is best, and you get to decide on which ones you want to take. CLOV. This was another one. The puts were up over 100% on CLOV. What I was seeing on this one was this went all the way down to 265. I identified that there was a gap to fill right here at 311. And you could see it's got big downside potential, big downside potential, big downside potential towards this $3 key resistance level. And then once I started to notice, man, we got this bearish candle here. It's just sitting towards the highs, failing to break out. It filled that gap right here at 311. And then as soon as it filled that gap, it reacted as resistance. Well, right here, there's a gap to fill below. Once 299 cracks, you can see your next support level on the daily isn't until the 250s to 240s, meaning it's going to have a big pullback. So when 3 cracks, you're going to want to play the puts to ride this down to 250, 240. If you're day trading, if you're swing trading, then you're going to get try to go even lower than that, but take profits along the way. But you could see the puts printed, man. Puts were up 146% to 100%. There was a lot of opportunity today within the watch list and within the video that I sent out yesterday. I was mainly taking advantage of, in terms of today, plays that weren't from the watch list, plays that came from older price alerts, and also plays that were alerted by members. We had a member alert PARA. That was the trade of the day. Took advantage of that one. And yeah, it was a fairly good day. Like I said, the portfolio was up 5%. I've already exceeded, my expectations for the week. And we got some great setups coming up. So I'm going to send out the morning watch list tomorrow with the very new important updates like CLOV. Once this can rip back, hopefully it can rip back to fill this gap above at 309. There's a gap to fill. If that can happen, it's going to be a great opportunity to buy puts. I'm going to hit it with some size. And then PARA, it's going to be a top watch for tomorrow. If we can just see that 36 level react as a resistance, or if it pops to 3640, reacts as a resistance, going to be looking to add puts into the pop. Those are going to be the top 2. If Bumble spikes back, I'm going to be looking to, add even more puts on that. Those are my top watches. At some point, I'm waiting to buy a leap option on Upstart. I genuinely believe this Upstart, let's see, there's a gap to fill. There's a gap to fill at $84. It could have a reversal at that level, so that's going to be a key level to watch for. But if it cracks 84, man, this is going to the graveyard. If it cracks 84 within like 2 months, this can drop to like $60 to fill this gap. So I'm going to be looking into some leap puts for that. I just have to wait for a key resistance, wait for a key reaction, because the stock has already crashed so much in such a short period of time. So we'll see how this reacts towards a keyhole round number of 100. If we can get resistance at 100, I'll be interested in like swing trading a midterm put. But guys, I'm telling you, there's going to be some phenomenal opportunities coming up. I hope you guys learned a lot from this lesson, and we went over the upcoming plays like with EBIX. We went over CLOV is going to be an upcoming setup. Bumble, if it spikes back, upcoming setup, and then PARA. Those are going to be the top watches. MULN, can't trade options on this. It's just going to be shares if I decide to make a trade on that. But in terms of, MULN, it does look like we're going to see something like this where it starts to pull back and fill the gap below at 135. So for the short term, I'm bearish on this one. Once it hits 135, if that can react as support, we're going to see a gap close reversal and a nice push up. See how there's a gap to fill right here. It nearly filled the gap, then it shot back up. So I'll be looking for a similar reaction at 135. If it cracks that, then I'll be waiting for 70 cents. And then CEI, even CEI, you guys remember CEI. I told you guys, if you watched the videos, I told you 78 cents. 78 cents is the exact level where I told you guys to buy CEI. And once again, just like I did with SPY, I gave you the best price to buy this. Look at the low of day. The low of day was at 78 cents. In the pre-market, this bottomed at 78 cents. It shot back up. It nearly filled that gap at 92 cents, getting to a high of 91 cents. That was a very nice gap close reversal, and you could have bought shares in the pre-market. Your broker allows you to do that, like Webull. So definitely take advantage of pre-market price action. Start using it. You can trade the shares, not just the options with these. But it had a very nice gap close reversal at 78 cents. So I want to see how it reacts during normal trading hours when it fills that gap. So that should be interesting. But yeah, we got some great setups coming up, guys. This should be another phenomenal week. If you are interested in joining Trader Society, it's going to be the first link down below in the description. It's a one-time fee, and you do get lifetime access to the video lesson library, where it teaches you all of the gap method strategies, the gap trading system, the price action strategies. It teaches you the psychology and mindset behind trading. along with risk management and position sizing. You do also get lifetime access to the chat room, to the live trading streams we do every single day at market open, to the watch list, to the real-time stock analysis, to the real-time trade alerts where I enter, where I exit, and to the one-on-one private messaging within Discord with me and members only. So yeah, if you're looking to really surround yourself with that community who is using this gap trading system to consistently make money within the market, then this is definitely going to be the right program for you. I'm telling you guys, you join this program, you're going to notice a drastic change within your trading. You're going to become a lot more disciplined. You're going to be trading the best setups at the best prices. You're not going to be over trading. You're going to be trading these key levels, and you'll be amazed on how well these trend reversal strategies truly do work. So yeah, if you are interested in joining, it's going to be the first link down below. You get instant access. You can get started as soon as like right now. You could start learning within the video lesson library, and then you can access the live streams every single day at market open, instant access to the chat room as well. So that's going to be that first link down below in the description. I'm looking forward to working with you guys. I will see you tomorrow in the morning, and that's going to wrap up today's lesson.